year, and it still remains in place, so. We go to the chair.
Was that a challenge?
We would get that up, but we didn't this time.
Sounds like something that we've done. We'll give the facility, call the meeting to order. We need to elect the chair and vice chair. Nominations or volunteers to serve as the chair.
I'll make it first. Second. For sure.
Any other nominations? Let's do these together. How about nominations for vice chair? I nominate Will.
Turn out skirt play,
All those in favor of me serving as the chair as well as vice chair? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Any correspondence? Consent items. One, approve the agenda. Changes?
Those are changes for just.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Approval of minutes. Minutes to review, that's fine. Moving and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor? Any opposed? Information items. Jack, I'll turn the second session.
All right, so in your packet, you have a statement, local service plan for 1819. Many of you that have been around for a while, remember when we changed the year 2000 and everything was going to cave in, and the year was all going to crash, and we're almost at 2020, so pretty amazing. So this is my first local service plan presentation, so I'm going to do the best I can, and if you have any questions, thoughts, or anything, welcome to take those. If you take a look at the few additions to the local service plan that we've done this year, take a look at so first off, I don't know, is there any desire for me to go over like our mission and purpose or anything of that nature? If you have a burning desire for that, I just want to hit the highlights. All right. Happy to do that. If you look at page 7, I just want to double check to make sure these dates are still correct for the different board meetings. At the top of page 7, it's the Lake County. Yours will be, your board meeting is February 28th, right?
No, it's February 24th.
24th, okay. That's where we're going through it. Paisley, you're still February 12th? Okay. North Lake still the 12th?
Correct.
Okay. Flush is, I believe, still 13th, and Adele is the 14th. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the 28th. The board switched a couple of meetings in February.
It was the 14th, they made to the 12th.
They didn't want to have the meeting on the 14th as well.
Right.
Okay. A couple of minutes.
Yeah, I don't know,
That never would happen.
I don't know if the ADL board is worried about that being Valentine's Day evening if they're.
You know, we're probably going to have to switch that because we have our end of the year water meeting on the same night.
Okay.
On the 14th.
So maybe a change there.
Yeah.
Now the big Valentine's Day is there.
Yeah, you know how the water meeting
Yeah, those are not on school property, so. Okay, so we'll watch that Adele one, we'll need to talk to Mary and see if that, we can change that, so. The calendar approval on page 8, just to remind everybody, that we're having this meeting in January, where we'll present this, local service plan. And then in February, the local service plan needs to be submitted to the boards for approval. And at that point, we really kind of jump into the budget portion of the year. And in May and June, we'll be mainly working on budget. And at the end of June, providing the budget goes as planned for a local service plan, everything is submitted to ODD.
Jack,
Yeah,
one thing I kind of like to get clear before we go through this, is this at all the superintendents, say Bill and so forth, have they seen this already? And general agreement with it? Okay, that's what I thought.
okay. The special education administration, nothing has changed there. The special education teacher at the bottom of page 9, 2.0, there's 1.0 FTE that is now a flow through to Lakeview School District. Kind of felt that having, where the person was at Lakeview full-time every day, all day, it didn't make a lot of sense for them to be our employee, because they need to be attending, their staff meetings, and it just made it a lot more clean to have them be their employee. So that's kind of a change from years past. Speech and language pathologists, there's going to be an increase in that a little bit. We've got a little more caseload, and also we are losing. Hey, Clayton.
Sorry, I'm late.
No problem. Grab a plate, get some food, and start with that.
That's appropriate.
I got lost. I was over there.
Who's in the right house? Well, I'm already in Paisley, I'll just meet you there.
Oh, there you go.
What's the story?
Right, looking for the meeting.
Yeah.
That's good.
So our speech and language services, again, a little bit of an uptick in our number of students, and also Renee is going to be retiring this year, and so she is currently a 0.8 employee, and we felt that with a new speech and language pathologist coming in, probably would not be quite as efficient getting things done and that kind of stuff as Renee is, because she's been doing it for 30 years. We need to get down to full 1 FTE. Also, to incentivize someone coming into the community and get out of a full-time position, to get full benefits and that kind of thing, to try to make sure we attract a good candidate. Psychological services assessment, that's remaining the same. Early intervention, again, still the same. Autism and child find are all still being the same.
Jack, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's somewhere else, but occupational therapy.
Occupational therapy is done through regional services through Southern Oregon ESD. So they're not actually dollars that flow through our ESD. Then page 11, instruction support, that's remaining the same, along with the core language, which is remaining the same. In addition,
I got a strong form
okay,
that pointed out to me the way it's worded. The Blush was told, well, Blush does not get no support for ESD foreign language program. And we was told it was too expensive for the license for Blush and Ada. So we want to know if it was added back in.
no, Flush and Adele, there hasn't been any foreign language in those buildings just because that is an online class.
Okay, well, it's got worded in here, so we just need to mark that out.
And I can provide some context.
Okay.
historical. Because there was a year or two where Flush and Adel both received those other licenses, and it just wasn't used. There wasn't time within the school day. If it's still in the local service, then we can take that wording out. But, yeah, it wasn't based on expense, it was based on usage. But we just,
Okay, well, we was still.
okay. If it's something you guys would like to reinstate, we can definitely look into that.
Well, that, we got pointed out, so we just worded it in here.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, that's something that you guys want.
Well, I don't know if we want it or not.
Oh, okay.
Before I get to that, decide that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
Because
bring
it
it up on the
involves,
next.
all the warrant ballots, what it involves.
Yeah. So we can definitely bring it up when we talk about this in the board.
Okay.
Okay. The next one, music instruction support. This was something that I kind of brought over with me. I've used Ethos in the past. Ethos is an organization out of Portland that basically their sole purpose is to provide music in rural areas of Oregon and to underserved communities in the Portland area and that kind of stuff. They use AmeriCorps members, and they then hire them with a grant through AmeriCorps, and then we were able to hire them, their staff people, for $8,000 a year. And that's for a full-time person. So that's everything. Salary, benefits, everything. So it's pennies on the dollar to be able to get the people here. They are music instruction support. They're not using teachers. They're not licensed teachers. So when they come in and help out in the school, the licensed teacher has to remain in the classroom, to oversee the classroom, just like you wouldn't leave an instructional assistant to teach a class, same kind of thing. And so this year we were able to purchase one, and that's due to just sheer timing. I wasn't able to get this position and find out that we didn't have much music and get my request in Portland and have it all happen. I was able to get one. So my request is already in for next year. We get excuse me, 2 people. One would remain in the Lakeview area, continue doing what we're doing there right now, and then one would be full-time in North Lake because they don't have any music at this point in time. So they would have a full-time person just for their district. So that's our goal for next year. So, counselors, it's been the same library support. Remember this from last year to this year, it was reduced to a half-time. Even at the half-time library support, we're able to maintain our Division 22 standards. So we're able to fulfill the requirements for the state.
Is that the individual contacted this year? Is she doing her on site of the library?
Yes, she's been to Plush and Adel. I think she was at Paisley in North Lake. I think Lake County ESD.
Somebody asked me that.
Okay. We just need to contact her and find out. As of right now, we're still anticipating having an enrichment fund for next year. Measure 101, I guess, whatever it's going to do, whether it passes or doesn't pass tonight, who knows what it's going to do. And then again, the GED testing and the floating funds are still remains the same. Some changes in our technology support this year. We brought in wireless hotspots this year that we provided to all of the districts other than Plush. They use the cellular network to provide a wireless access to the internet. Plush doesn't have cell service, so it doesn't be the gateway.
And that was pointed out to me today too, with that first sentence, because we're not, it's an inadequate statement.
Correct. Each school district saved flush.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's all this kind of phone call.
yeah, okay. Yeah,
That's why this is draft too. so
Yeah,
that
this
we
is-
can make it
that's why we go through this, yeah. That's good.
Present
Thank
reports.
So those wireless hotspots, I'm able to look at them and see the amount of usage that goes on with those. Most of them are being used quite a bit. Lakeview has, I think, 7 of them. They're not using all of them, and so I'm going to be able to bring back 2 or 3 of those from them. And so I can reallocate those to either Paisley or North Lake or Adele. If you guys are in need of another one or 2, let me know, and I'll be happy to allocate those out to you guys. Okay? But that way kids can take those home. They can take a laptop, or if they have a laptop, they don't have wireless service or internet at home, they can take those and do their homework and that kind of stuff. The good thing about these is that they are filtered, so students can only use them for homework type of things. They cannot go on Facebook, they can't go on YouTube, obviously any of the gambling sites or any of the weird stuff like that, that's all blocked and that kind of stuff. So it's nice, we don't have to worry about them accessing things they shouldn't use.
Plus, everybody knows, you can check and see what they have been on, right?
Yes, yeah, the neat thing is I can see the sites that they've been on, and I can also see the sites they've been denied.
Okay.
So if they try to go someplace and they shouldn't be, I can see that they've attempted to go to that site. And it also tells me how many times. So, yeah, so if you're not good enough to go once, and you keep trying over and over and over, you're just going to show up with a big red portion of the pie, and you're like, wait a minute. Yeah, so.
Wasn't an accident.
Yeah, exactly, it wasn't an accident, yeah. It wasn't a typo.
Should love to hear that conversation.
Administrative support services, the changes this year is we hired a threat assessment coordinator this year. We were able to hire Ryan Tagg. He is actually a OSP officer, and we hired him to be our threat assessment coordinator. He has gone to Salem, and he's been trained on his position and what that means, and how to conduct threat assessments, those kinds of things. He has, I believe, is that right, David? Is he not been up for Lake County?
On the first.
On the first, okay, so he's in the process of training all of the administrators in the county, so that they will have the same training and the same procedures as far as what to do if a child spouts off on the playground and says, I'm going to kill you. We all have the same process and how we deal with that and what we consider to be what kind of a threat. This is real, and yesterday there was a girl shot in Texas, I believe it was, and then today there was another shooting where at least 1 student is killed and 7 were shot. Help me out, Kentucky. 2 dead, okay, so the second one died from this morning. So, this is something that as schools, we cannot take lightly. We cannot, we can't just, it's boys being boys. It doesn't work anymore. So, the neat thing about this threat assessment system is it really helps out in looking a little bit deeper into what is being said by kids and what kids are doing, because there are signs that should be things that we should be aware of that we may not be at this point. So Ryan will be helping the administration and be able to teach them those kinds of things and talk about those things. As time progresses and as the need arises and as Ryan gets more and more comfortable with this position, we want to expand that position a little bit into hopefully, and I'm thinking in the next 3 to 5 years, expand that to where he would be able to come out and do evaluations of our schools as far as the safety of our schools and how things are, what's safe, what's not safe, maybe give some ideas. Also looking at sexual threat. If we have a sexual predator in our schools, how do schools deal with that? And I'll talk to David and Will. They've both been to college, some administrative classes. And Paul, I don't remember a single college course that talked about how to deal with a child sexual predator. So there are a whole other system, and a whole other concept around that. And I'm hoping in the next 3 to 5 years that we'll be able to get him trained in that to where he can come out and help our schools. If we were to get a student with some of those concerns, we would then know what to do and be able to set up something to keep all the kids safe, including that kid. So that's I'm really excited about that one. I think it's going to really help all the districts be consistent with what's going on. As far as anything else administrative, nothing else has really changed there. So
Here's the county attendance officer.
that would be me.
Okay.
Yep, that would be me. We need to come by your house and find out why you're not being to school on time.
Right.
Happy to do it. Okay, copy services, still going on. So if anybody needing those services, and again, courier and those kinds of things. Administrative services for Adele and Plush, and then the fiscal services for North Lake, and then the audit services that we provide that for all of the districts in the county. So, the youth mentor program is continuing, and right now it's at 1.4 FTE. I believe it is 1.5 in the past, so there's a little bit of a reduction there, but that's going well. And then our early learning hub is still ongoing. We just applied recently for a grant for $39,000. We're hoping to get a good portion of that, and that will allow us to provide the summer ready for kindergarten classes for the kindergartners coming in, so they get a couple of weeks extra schooling and how to do things around the schools. That's the first priority of that grant. If we get the full funding of that grant, then we'll go to the second priority, and that's the classes for parents and what to do to help your child out and get ready for kindergarten for parents. Children will be first priority, depending on the funding, then we'll move to the second priority of helping out the parents.
I got a question right here too.
Okay.
Okay. The Plush, well, it says there to communicate between ESD and districts regarding the earnings up. Plush provides preschool for Adele and Plush as courtesy to 3 and 4-year-olds. Since it is a courtesy, we'd like to participate in the early learning grants.
Okay.
We do not receive state funding on round-trip transportation for being reimbursed for 72 miles that we run to kids home from noon. And then, here's how that's brought up, I see it's on this page here, it is something, it says early learning grant. And that page go to RFP, administer early learning grants, and then at the bottom line, coordinate the East Street Summit for Lake County for early learning hub.
Right, those are things that happened in 2016, right?
We kind of missed out on some.
Okay. I wasn't here. So you're looking to be part of, you want to be part of that when we do kindergarten camps?
And preschool, well, whatever.
Well, this grant is only for a 2-week class right before school starts,
Okay,
for incoming kindergartners.
okay.
That's it. There's no preschool or anything of that nature. So, and I
You
think.
just did that first time last year, right? You wanna-
Right, last year.
Oh, what? You did it last year.
And I think, doesn't Luann do something throughout the summer? But that's, that Paisley does something. You guys did it throughout the summer, like once a
Limited the number of days and stretched it out longer.
stretch it out longer.
Yeah.
Okay, that was-
So as you do
days a week.
So, okay. So, I can definitely have a conversation with Luann and see if that's, again, that's of interest.
But one thing that Flush was included on was we had budgeted funds for preschool supplies. And so Luann did submit a list of supplies that we reimbursed.
Okay.
Not saying that that's all of the activities, but just that Flush was included on something.
Okay.
The College and Career Readiness Grant, we just applied for that, and that was 2 weeks ago, I just sent that in. That was for, I applied for $40,000, and the goal of that grant is to simply pay for college courses for high school students. So junior and seniors, if they want to take a college course, I think right now the high schools pay for it. And so the high schools would then be able to request reimbursement for that, and we would be able to pay for those college courses. So,
Something around, hard to tell.
1 year. Yeah, it's a 1 year grant, so.
So would it be for this coming school year or the next school year?
I don't remember the timeline. I am thinking that it was this year. It was due now in June. So,
And it has been funded already? or-
no, it has not. I don't know about the funding of that. It's a very short turnaround. It's like 2 weeks to write it, or a week to write it.
It sounds typical.
Yeah, and then, so once I find out, then I think we have got the funds spent by June.
So that's basically one class. Spring
Well, you can probably get reimbursement for classes this whole fiscal.
I would imagine.
School day,
Oh, okay.
yes,
It
yeah.
would be, yeah, well, we'd be able to pay for 40 classes. So it's approximately $1,000, 900 something, depending on what kind of class you take, college course. So I think North Lake alone, I think you've had more than 40 courses for your high schoolers. Do a lot. You got to do a lot of them, yeah. Right. Then the last 2 pages, I don't know, Sarah, want to talk to you about the graphs? If everybody has any questions about them, I don't know.
I got something I want to point out.
Okay.
I only spent about 30 minutes reading back the also thing. When I got here, I looked at this first part and that real thin line of green. Then I went over here to the budgeted one, there's that real big thick line. And I was wondering why the big increase. But then I have to go back over here on the sides and read these color codes, and they're not the same year to year. And I'm not going to take time to compare.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't designate colors, I'm kind of lazy like that. The chart program just puts the color on it. But I can see if I can change the color.
Well, I just looked at something, and I got to looking, and then I was gonna look at this thing all the time.
Yeah, well, and honestly, this is information, it's nice to see it in a graph. But, you know, you get similar information in your budget document as well. You know, on the left side, you've got your actual figures for revenue top and expenses bottom. And then you've got on the right side, your budgeted figures, top, revenue, bottom, expenses. It's just intended to be a visual.
I guess.
But if you look at the picture, the color,
Right, yeah, no,
I
it's
just increased $52,000, just right now, like, what the heck's going on?
Right.
I would have no harm affect this. It would probably be better not to have this than to have people learn, how come this changed and this changed, because they're not gonna really feel like.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. So, but yeah, those are the graphs. Any other questions?
Okay, so that's our local service plan. And again, this is still in draft form. So then, below that in your packet, you should have the program report. And This is specifically for our students with special needs. Talks about how many students in each district are on an IEP, individual education program. I'm not going to go through this. If there's any questions, it's just informational, how many referrals were done, those kinds of things.
How many kids are in the Lake County School District?
All students have one.
No, all together.
It's about 7.2.
One of the kind of things that I noticed was on page 3 for our school psychological assessments. The number of referrals was 51 last year, and that was, to me, I thought was outrageous. And then I realized that a lot of those referrals were assessments that she was doing for threats within the buildings. She was the one making decisions on, is this a threat, is this not a threat, and so that threat assessment coordinator will help reduce these referrals, hopefully, by a great number. We'll have a different system to do that. And it's never good to have one person making a decision on whether this person is a threat or not. So. Any questions on that report? Or if not, I will move over to our 5th grade.
Okay. The 5th grade remains unchanged from past years. It's the standard cost of doing business as, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the ESD's mandate to spend 90% of our funds on school districts and 10% on overhead. But the tip rate is what allows us to charge like electricity and phones and internet to each of the programs. And charge it off to the 90%. And that's why we play to do basically it's kind of a rental charge.
Question? Down here at the bottom, we're talking about 15, 16 charge for TIF. OE's 15, 16 rate. And we're going to set 16, 17.
Oh, shoot, no,
At
I didn't catch
694.
that.
Good catch.
It
I wonder if
should
all of those should all those be walked up?
not the 15, 16. That, with the ODE, they calculated an indirect rate for us. And ODE changed the way that they calculated that rate several years ago. And it created this crazy, a lot of entities went from a high rate, had a really big dip, and then when 3 years later, it went really high again. And so that 6.43 was, I think there were 2 years where we had different rate than our set standard 6.94. But the proposed tip rate should be for 2018-19. Yeah.
And the 6.94 is correct.
Is correct, yes. Yeah.
Is there any other discussion on this item?
I move we adopt 6.9, which is correct.
2018-19.
Second.
Then move second to adopt 6.94. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any other business items? Requests for topics to be on our next meeting?
case the school gets on, what room's available.
But we, you know, the thing is, we can always do it here because we can't, I know this is the greatest meeting room, but with details not available, we can use the classroom space or we can use the community center. So I think there's always going to be space, and then this is going to be a central location, so. Yeah, just be yeah. Well, we can make a mess of here, we'll get trouble. These might get, there's some pads and whatever.
I lucked out because I saw it right here, and I thought, what's going on there? I checked. Before I walked to the other side, if you parked around the corner. Yeah. Wander around.
Why even went by there? There's a lot of cars.
Yeah, next meeting is scheduled for May 22nd, 6:30 here afternoon. There's no other items to consider. Adjourn.
Great presentation.
Michael.